Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile Prophecy League. We're playing with our Frostbolt Vortex caster. And what would an episode be without a little bit of theory crafting before we dive into the rest of the gameplay? I've been playing around a little bit with some other support gems I overlooked in my previous discussion. That's because you can get them actually in Act 2 rather than in Act 3. So, lesser multiple projectiles. Frostbolt and multiple projectiles. It actually works in an interesting way. You do make a pretty huge trade-off if you go with multiple projectiles instead of added cold damage. In testing, you trade about an average of 400 damage per Frostbolt for 600 per Frostbolt. So you either have a single Frostbolt that does 600 damage or you have 3 of them that do 400 each. If you are shotgunning it into a pack, of course, hitting multiple foes with a single cast is actually pretty mana efficient. But if you want to get the most bang out of your buck, for example, if you're facing a single target, then one big projectile is what you want to go for. But I'll bring this along, and when we go for the Aqueduct, we'll actually play with multiple projectiles. So next up, Vortex. Controlled destruction support. This early in the game, you don't really have a lot of critical strike. So reducing your critical strike chance is never gonna reduce it below your base of 5% chance. I got 20% from some passive, so it actually is 6% chance to crit without it, 5% with it. But the nice thing is it boosts your spell damage by 30%. This applies to the initial hit as well as to the damage over time component. So this is a pretty significant bonus to both the hit and the damage over time. While if you're going with faster casting, you're just putting out more frequent casts that keep your damage per second for the Vortex for the initial hit the same if you chain cast it. The thing is, you do need to be churning out mana, and especially if you cast it on Frostbolts, you need actually to explode multiple Frostbolts. Playtested it a little bit, and controlled destruction support actually works pretty fine. So I'm gonna leave the faster casting out for now, and maybe we'll add it back later. Other options include concentrated effect. This is an even larger bonus to the damage. It's 45% more area damage, and that includes the area damage that is dealt over time. That is also area damage. So it is a pretty massive bonus. It's 242 with the controlled destruction. Concentrated effect takes it up to 270, while the base is only 186 in this case. So it's a decent bonus, but the area becomes smaller, and without any boosts to the area size, it actually becomes rather pitiful, and it becomes hard to hit enemies or hit entire groups. It becomes more like a skill shot rather than just a proper AoE. So for now, I'm not gonna go with it. Finally, elemental focus support. Do more elemental damage. Again, it includes the area over time as well as the initial hit, but you cannot inflict elemental status ailments. The built-in slow that you get from the Vortex still applies, but there is no longer a chance of freezing opponents. And because I really want to focus on freezing as a defensive aspect in this build, it is not gonna be irrelevant for me. So these options are not gonna be used. And added cold versus lesser multiple projectiles is an actual proper trade-off. So let's grab another 4 prophecies and move on.
Forsaken by the light he has sworn to protect, a master of prayer seeks aid.
Nice, Elion, finally.
They flee from the eyes of Oria, coated in gold from head to toe.
The wealthy Exile. You will encounter and slay a rogue Exile who wears only rare items. That is gonna be fun.
To plow a field, you need a tool. To harvest grain, you need a tool. To spread corruption, you need a tool.
The Corrupt. You will slay a powerful enemy in a Vaal side area and it will drop a Vaal orb.
What was one is now two. The strong find greater strength in numbers.
You will encounter an area where powerful monsters are duplicated. So this is going to be duplicate rares. And Vaal side area, this might all actually spawn in the Aqueduct. So Aqueduct is going to be an interesting experience. Okay, well, let's get going. Oh, also I leveled, so I'm going to assign this to Physique because we will be getting a stone golem shortly. And we need more strength for that. With that, let's jump into the Aqueduct. So besides testing the different support skills, I also went back and did a couple of lower level prophecies. Things like the Undead Alchemist that can only spawn in the sewers. This is not really that interesting to view anymore because it was like 10 levels below me. So this is the multiple projectiles effect. You really can just spam a corridor with Frosty Balls of Doom. And it works rather well for just shotgunning your way through a level.
Just need a moment to.
So this combination of just shooting multiple Frostbolt projectiles, also you still can turn them all into vortices. You got multiple projectiles to go for, so it's actually easier to just have multiple projectiles to cover a single pack. Especially if you got some packs that spread out a little bit. And I haven't really noticed a negative impact from the faster casting that I no longer have. It is nice that Vortex does more damage. Ooh, hello there, loose grade. This is gonna be for the Vaal side area, probably that we mentioned before. Monsters increase movement speed, attack speed, cast speed, and gain a power charge. And we get 25% more items from here. That's gonna be interesting. So far, no prophecy, but that doesn't mean anything. Could be that it's just the boss that will trigger. Otherwise, we might get a bonus Vaal area somewhere. Hello there. So, because the Frostbolts are weaker individually, it's slightly more difficult to deal with bosses now. That is the trade-off you make here. But Vortex, it actually starts to do some serious damage. So you can actually walk into packs or teleport into packs and just use Vortex as if it were a Frost Nova. That works pretty well. Like so. And boss encounter. Hello there.
To plow a
And that is
field,
it.
you need a tool. To harvest grain, you need a tool. To spread corruption, you need a tool.
So, tool defeated. As I say, there are interesting skill combinations for both Frostbolt and Vortex, and it really depends on playstyle and what you really want to get out of your build. Because there are no rights, there are no wrongs, there's only trade-offs and preferences. So I can imagine, usually just running around with the lesser multiple projectiles, and then for boss fights, things like that, you just swap in an added projectile damage or an added frost damage to boost its damage further. And deal with strong single targets. Yeah, the theory crafting has been the most fun so far for the new skills.
Just need a moment to catch my breath.
Completely different from what I had anticipated. And that really does make things more interesting. Hello there, boss. Here, I have an army. Okay, so here, swapping skills might be a useful thing. Let's curse it, frostbomb it. And then shoot it to bits. I don't think it's dead yet. But it is now. Okay. Because the single Frostbolt is still pretty good for clearing out a straight line in a pack. But you might need to shoot multiple ones. On the other hand, depending on how you tune your vortex, you can still use vortex to clear out the wider bits of a pack and just shoot in a single frostbolt, then explode the vortex to deal with the pack. Oh, I got surrounded. Oh no, what shall I do? But there is a lot of versatility here, and that's the thing that appeals most to me. Where Essence Drain Contagion was way more limited in how you would play it. It kind of was prescribed how you would play it. This offers more options. Let's see, is this decent? Oh, there's decent resists on it, mana. On the other hand, I think I got something better, so boo, bye bye. Not great either. Ooh, curse removal. Yes, please. And that's also a lot of mana, but curse removal. I already have Frost and Chill. I always try to get it on my Quicksilver Flask, because that way all movement impeding effects are combined with just the thing that boosts my movement speed. So you get the things that belong together that will go together. And that's gonna be it. Okay, so put this in a flask box. And then we continue. Dried Lake. Actually, no, let's not. Let's first have a little chat with Navali. Because new area, new speech. So let's listen.
Many great things begin at the foot of a mountain, Exile. So too do many tragedies. Often a path becomes a fork, and the echoes of your actions push you down one side or the other. Do you know where you are being carried? Would you like to?
That is completely not ominous, right? So, let's seek a prophecy.
The rings that bind grow tighter, the plate thicker, the leather denser, all with a single touch.
Ooh, another crafting, so we can enhance our armor way better. Also, why do you have another? No, okay. So do we have any armor that needs to be upgraded to 20% quality? Might as well, right? Oh, this one. So. Ka-ching.
The rings that bind grow tighter, the plate thicker, the leather denser, all with a single touch.
Ah, now we get the blacksmith counterpart.
The metal softens beneath the stone,
I don't really care.
reshaping with great ease.
Might as well use it because it's cheaper than
The metal
just packaging it.
softens beneath the stone,
And we actually had an
reshaping
excuse to
with
use it.
great ease.
Okay, let's see if we can get something that's relevant for gameplay now.
One like you roams the land, but they are just the first of many.
Slay Rogue Exile, which calls forth a warband. That's gonna be fun. So, Dried Lake will have a number of modifiers. Let's see this one. So we have the Vanguard, a powerful Voll's Vanguard who will drop a unique item when slain. Master Seeks Help potentially can spawn. We have the Scout, a Rogue Exile that has the potential to spawn. Twins has the potential to spawn, so then we get duplicate rares. Feral Lord, you will encounter corrupted animals in the Dried Lake, so that's going to be fun. And a Wealthy Exile also has the potential to spawn, and it might actually also be the Scout, so there's a chance for an overlap here. So let's see how interesting the Dried Lake is going to get. You will destroy the Feral Lord's animals. Everything else is just, it has a chance to pop up. Damage output of opponents is pretty decent here. Of course, there is a temptation to remain standing in place, which against a bunch of archers might not be what you want to do. Oh, almost got him. Just gonna trace the outlines of the level here. So just shooting multiple projectiles to explode at multiple ranges. So currency dropped. Yes. So I have a second sound effect activated for whenever a rarer currency drop. So that's Orbs of Alchemy, Chaos Orbs, Exalts, Mirrors, things like that. Okay, I don't like you. Let's just keep you at range. So whenever there is a sound effect, there is something interesting happening. Let's see, explode, explode. We'll just give everybody their own private Frostball. Hello there, Nightwane. Let's actually debuff you, since you are a unique and therefore you deserve a little bit more attention. And then we take you out. So let's actually switch again to multiple projectiles, which I think makes it a bit easier to deal with, just spread out mobs. And therefore you can also just put a vortex on their head a bit easier. Ooh, that is a nice large pack. So, situations like this, faster projectiles actually are becoming a bit more appealing. That's because I noticed that my pattern now starts to become, put a bomb down, I shoot, I wait, and I explode a vortex. I'm really into range mode. And especially with multiple projectiles like this, you know, having multiple fast projectiles is not a bad idea. Ooh, minion damage, that's interesting, so we don't have to buy it for our golem. Hello there, Rogue Exile, possessed by a thingamajig.
They flee from the eyes of
Spirit.
Oria,
There
coated
is
in
the
gold from head to toe.
Warband. And boom, now
One
prophecy
like you
completed.
roams the land, but they are just the first of many.
So many rares.
I need more pockets.
I think this Rogue Exile had more pockets than I had, in all fairness. Let's do some very quick loot ferrying, because this is just too many to ignore. This will turn into quite a nice number of orbs of alchemy, I think. We just have our sorting box. Put all the things in. Keep that okay. So, prophecies, they have the opportunity to make you a bit richer than you expect to become. So, silk rope.
I need more pockets.
And that's just because the stacking is not as efficient as it could be. Just put those there, pick up that one. And we move on. Onwards to Voll. So for Voll it might actually be useful to have a higher single target damage again. So we switch. That worked pretty well.
The
And
vanguard lead the funeral march, playing hymns of death with their bowstrings.
again, that's empty pockets. This is a luxury problem, I think. Just getting so many rares that you don't have the pocket space for it. Luckily, it's very quickly to run. So, Death's Bow. Death's Harp, to be specific. Isn't this also related to a prophecy that will upgrade it into something else? I believe so. False confession. So here I have a bomb, I'll port past you.
Just
bomb,
need a moment
frost.
to catch my breath.
Oh, I was standing in range, let's get out.
For purity.
Oh, again, I got caught in the blast. I shouldn't, but I did.
You are judged. You trespass.
And a final shot. Oh, almost.
I
Got
just
you.
killed an emperor. With a feather that size, I'm going to have to get a bigger cap.
So we still have to hunt down the feral animals for the feral lords, which is of course a quest chain. Are there any other things that can pop up here? Twins. Potentially can show up, or it might be part of level generation. I'm not entirely sure. I've had it before, but I just don't remember the specifics of it. Sometimes it's easier to just explode vortexes on top of someone. It's a very efficient killing method. Okay, back where we started. Echo. I think Echo is something special, wasn't it? Echo blah. So, what's here? More of these echoes of the verdant. So these are all probably part of the Feral Lord's beasts or animals. As a result, they all have to die. You, stop dodging my frostbolts. Yes, thank you. I probably should have exploded a vortex on his face. See? Okay. That's the third pack of the Echoes of the Verdant that I've spotted so far. These are just regular Dust Grabblers. Let's do a... Oh! Hello there, purple ones. Ooh, actually hurt quite a bit. Let's repay the favor by hurting a little bit as well. Good, good. So as I was saying, let's clear this side of the... What is it, like an abandoned aqueduct or bridge? They look like the pillars of a bridge. I think I did a mostly full clear here anyway. But mostly the outskirts. Okay, I think we covered the inside, so now let's cross over, double check the other side. So one of these pillars. And that was done.
Where water shimmers no more, thunderous beasts are dragged into the Feral Lord's domain.
Prophecy fulfilled. Excellent. And it is time to head back to town. And hand in the banner. And then we can have a chat with the ladies up here. And Ozun now has a white tiger. The patch notes are true. And we get our golem. So, Ice Golem is something we will go for later on. Probably in late cruel or merciless, but early on. I think the Stone Golem, which will provide life regeneration, is going to be a powerful defensive aid. There's the Lightning Golem as well, but there's elemental mismatch. So I go for Stone Golem for now, and as I said, I picked up some extra strength to be able to equip it, because you are not a strength focused build with this. Also, let's reassign this one to actually have a button. And then that is going to be it for this episode. Actually, yeah. So I'm going to thank you very much for watching, and I hope you'll join me again next time when we venture into the mines. See you then.